Okay. All right, gang. Well, good morning. Welcome to Level Up Lifestyle, the podcast with me, Leanne Watanabe. In today's episode, we're going to do part 2 with Jenna Seguin. Welcome to the show, Jenna.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Oh my God. Yeah, so much good stuff to talk about in the first part, and we just have to continue it. So I think when we left off, right, we were just talking about how you were following the Wonder Woman and you were determined to get accepted because now they have some kind of epic 8-month wait list or something now. And you were in the coaches' inboxes and tagging them and participating in the challenges like the great athlete you are. And then you got accepted.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I think we left off like right there. So what was the feeling like when you got, what did you get? The email? Was it an email?
No, I think one night Janelle had asked me any question, and then I was like, "How do I get in?" was my question, and she
Okay.
wrote back, "I thought you were in. You take us, and you're participating and everything else." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." I had signed up on the wait list. I'd done all the things, and then she had a opening coming up. And so she had me fill out the application and send the videos. And then, after reviewing and talking back and forth, she said that I could join her team starting after, well, it was essentially September 1st, but she kind of helped me too. Like, as I was getting there, I was following macros and she gave me some ideas of things to adjust a little bit until we got to our time. So I transitioned from my in-person trainer. I worked with him right up until the day I switched over to work with Janelle and TWW.
I love that, gang. So look at that. That's a great lesson. When there's a will, there's a way, right? If you're super determined and you want something, you go after it. So Jenna's talking about reaching out to Coach Janelle Marks, who is one of the head coaches at TWW. And look at serendipity. Janelle had a spot on a team. This was September 2022.
Yep, it would have been September 2022.
September 2022. And then we had met because I was already on Janelle's team.
Yep.
And, if you are part of the program that, there's team calls and there's big group calls. And so you get to meet everyone, not only in the big TWW team, but also you really get to know the people in your small little coaches team, which is why Jenna and I had hit it off relatively quickly. So now you had been working with a trainer for 2 years, consistent at a gym in Minnesota where you live. And he was so great because even though he was a young guy, he was like down with helping you record the videos you needed to submit to TWW for your application. He was like very open about you transitioning and evolving. And so you worked with him all the way up until you got accepted. And so when you got your plan from TWW, was there major changes that you had to make to your food? Let's start there first.
You know what? I think other people have posted about this too, but I was making it too difficult on myself, thinking like I had to have different meals broken up by like breakfast to perfectly match my macros and then create like a whole other meal for lunch, that would perfectly match my macros and kind of go at it that way. I think I was doing a lot of recipes and a lot of meals instead of kind of making things in bulk. So it was like I was overcomplicating the process for quite a while when I first started, and then probably maybe focusing too much on having everything be perfect, even by meal. And then that can drive you a little bit crazy because it's hard to find a recipe that matches your perfect breakfast macros, especially if you're doing, recipes. So I think that was the biggest thing when I was, and it's not that it was ill-advised, the trainer I was working with. What worked for him is like he just had a ton of protein shakes and then he would eat like a giant meal and whatever. And so he was always kind of encouraging me, just have more protein shakes. And it's like, oh, I don't want to eat like that. So it was a little bit of a switch, and then just moving away from some of that and figuring out your own way, right? Of like, oh, I like having, chicken or ground turkey or whatever it is, and then just mixing that into things. And I like eating bowl meals anyways. So
Mhm.
figuring that out. So I think it took a little bit.
Yeah, I love that he did the bro science on you. I mean, we've all
He
if
did.
you work with trainers, I work with a bunch of trainers. If you don't know, I teach for 24 Hour Fitness for over 25 years now. And when I first got out of college, I started working for 24 Hour Fitness because I had just found fitness and I was like, oh, I want to try and make a career out of it. And so I had the female trainer that would always make me lift light pink weights. And then I had the bodybuilding bro trainer that was like, Leanne, you're strong for a chip, lift heavy, eat protein, eat protein. So it is such a big difference, right? Like you said, how people sort of like, take what they do instead of impart that on us. But plus to it, as a regular trainer, fitness trainer, and every state is different. But in Hawaii too, we're not allowed to give nutritional meal plans or any kind of set specific nutrition when we work as a personal trainer because they reserve that for the registered dietitians. We can only give general recommendations. This is what I do. This is what, how I eat. But yes, gang. So if, pretty much macro tracking is all the buzz now. A lot of people know about it. Basically, to just recap, macros are food we eat. We all eat macros, whether you track macros or not. Every day we all eat macros because macros are proteins, carbs, and fats. Macro tracking just teaches you a way to combine those proteins, carbs, and fats in a method that will help you best achieve your fitness or physique weight loss goals. So how is macro tracking different from calorie tracking? Macro tracking says, hey, we're going to prioritize each macro as best as we can so that if your goal is, let's say, fat loss, you lose more fat and preserve more muscle than your traditional low calorie diet. Low calorie diets will say, here's your calorie budget, eat whatever you want. Most of us never prioritize protein. When we're low calorie dieting, most of us eat high carb, high fat. We stay in a calorie cap. And what research has shown is when we combine it in that way, we lose a lot more muscle and a little bit of fat. But when we prioritize the macros, especially when we hit a protein goal in a fat loss phase, they're able to show that we can lose a lot more fat and way less muscle. And then that completely gives you a different radically different body composition and how you look. So that's the goal again. But like with anything, Jenna pointed out very great that even with macro tracking, and we talk about it's a lot of food flexibility and how I always say was ultimate food freedom for me coming from a very chronically extreme restrictive dieting background. You can still have an all or nothing or perfectionist mindset with it. Yes. So typically, what Jenna was talking about is, yes, when a coach gives you a macro plan, you have macro budgets that you want to hit per meal, right? Mm-hmm. Based upon our goals. We want to make sure you're eating at a certain timed interval for muscle synthesis. We want to make sure you're eating in good ratios to facilitate muscle growth and also muscle recovery. But with that being said, everything is just an advice, right? It's trying not to get tripped up on hitting it perfect. Because what do we know? Perfection chasing sets you up for failure.
Right. Yeah. And I just remember getting my plan and it was broken out, and I think in the beginning too, because I was doing more fat loss, my carbs tapered off at the end of the day. And I just needed some ideas. So I would ask a lot of questions or follow other women to see what they were doing. And then slowly over time, you kind of figure it out for yourself. But I still see some people's macro meals and you're just like, oh, I want my meals to look that beautiful and they look so good. Like Laura Shaping the Pearl, she just posted like her meals that she brings to work. I think it was last night or sometime this week. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks like a gourmet chef made those. Or you have people, and I can't say that's what mine always look like, but it's like you find the things you like that work for your body over time. But then you go through phases too, where you're just kind of sick of like eating some of the same stuff and you have to figure out how to make it different for yourself or find things that you enjoy. Because I agree with you. If it's something that you don't enjoy, you're not going to stick with it for the long run. And you really, ultimately, it's up to you, right? It is food freedom. You just have to be willing to explore and do those things and take the effort to make the right, you know, meals that you enjoy eating too.
Exactly. And that's the thing, right? No matter what it is, there's always going to be some level of effort, work, mindfulness
Yeah.
required. So it's again reaching out to support, looking for ideas, what you tell yourself, right? I have a lot of people that will say macro tracking is hard, and I always try to remind them, well, everything is hard, right?
Yeah.
And we make it harder by telling ourselves it is hard. But again, I think I always tell gals, especially new gals, when you first start learning macros, there is a learning curve in eating a new way. There's going to be a level of TDS and what you might feel as a lot of effort and work, right, initially. But there's some tips, right, that we can offer. So keep your meal simple, right? 3 to 5 ingredients, 3 to 5 ingredients. Even if you love to cook, you may have elaborate recipes for this maybe 7 to 14 day period of you getting acclimated to the new way of eating in a macros tracking lifestyle. You know, put those recipes on a back burner, figure out how create some really good go-to meals to start that you can kind of rinse and repeat, which usually starts like with a good breakfast, a savory and a sweet, maybe a staple lunch, maybe a savory and a sweet, and then a good hearty dinner, and then working your snacks, and then working from there, like what treats can I add, right? What am I really craving this week? How can I fit it into my macros? And again, it's just being willing to navigate sort of a murky or gray area for a little while until, like, now you're several years in. I mean, you can probably make a macro meal according to any ratio a coach gives you with your eyes closed.
I mean, definitely much better than when I first started. And I don't know why, or if it wasn't maybe stressed enough, or I just didn't get that part of like keeping it simple. Just like anything, when you start new, you don't start with the advanced options of a recipe or whatever. It is best to keep it simple, and then you can really customize that way. But I think too, like you said, you just find your meals. Like I almost see it like some sort of oats, either overnight oats, or I'll make them, you know, on the stove, like protein oats every day, you know, and it's very easy to adjust that to your macros once you have the recipe and you find what you like with that. And then it's like switching lunches. Like here it's cold in the winter, like Minnesota cold, not Hawaii cold.
Yeah, not Hawaii cold. I know, girl. I know.
So I always like chilier soup. And there's tons of good recipes with lots of veggies and just different things out there that you can have. And then you just find, you know, you find your way over time.
Find your way. Yep. And again, if you're out there not sure, confused, want some quick tips, reach out to Jenna or I.
Yeah.
We talk to gals all the time. We just love talking about everything mindset, macros, and muscles. So, you know, find us on Instagram, hit us up in the DMs, and we just love helping other people because we know we've been in your shoes. We've been there. You know, we weren't some people that were like, you know, athletic our whole lives and naturally gifted and playing sports and always being lean and then gain some weight during pregnancy or a career change. No, it's something we battled with for most of our lives in some way, shape, or form. And we tried a lot of duds to arrive here. Like, you know, again, talking about some of the same things that gals tell Jenna and I all the time, right? I feel like I must not want it bad enough, or I must not be willing to work hard enough, or I'm not disciplined enough because I can't seem to stick to this thing that I've been trying to do. But what we realize now is the thing we were trying to do, the method, it was wrong for us. It didn't fit our psychology, our personality, our profession. And so now finding this lifestyle where we really enjoy how we eat. Granted, there is a level of, it does get monotonous. Sometimes you're just like, screw it, I just want to eat something, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're human. We're all human.
Yeah.
But at the core, there's always a base level of mindfulness and awareness that we know we are glad to adhere to, because it ultimately allows us to be healthy, get stronger in the gym, lift heavy things, improve our health, especially as we're aging, going through different hormonal shifts. It makes us more pleasant and happy to be around with our families. And it helps us to be strong to handle whatever life throws at us.
And I think too, it just makes you feel better. I feel like one, just, you know, having stuff planned out, which I'm surprised for me because I'm such a planner, that I lived for years, like maybe not having a plan around food or just going with whatever and not, you know, thinking about it too much. Besides, like I did every kind of diet kind of thing that you were talking about, but not like a plan long
For
term.
life.
And then
For
I think
life.
too, yeah, I feel like when you start paying attention how you feel, like when you're consistently doing these things, there is a drastic difference. Like I've gotten away, you know, on weekends where it's like, okay, I don't have all my normal stuff and I'm eating, you know, different than how I normally would do for a short time period. And it's like, oh, feel kind of tired. I feel like, oh, you know, it's like, oh, I'm bloated, you know, all of these little things. It's like, oh, I'm sugar crash, whatever. It's like, this doesn't feel that great. You know, it's like to put in a little bit of effort, you know, to eat my macros in a certain way with things that I like having regardless is so worth it.
So worth it. And I love that you said that, because again, when we start to shift away from what commercial diets tell us, where the plan is you start the diet and the plan is you end the diet, and there's never a plan that tells you what to do after the diet ends. And that's where I feel the industry is greatly lacking, where it's easy to start and stop a diet. And women will go their whole lives, like us, we've done for decades, on and off a diet, on and off a diet. The plan is follow the diet until the diet sets us up for failure, because all the rules and restrictions are like something that is not feasible for us to continue on. So for me, and I'm sure as you as well, this macros way approach was sort of the first insight into, oh, this is the way I'm going to eat for the rest of my life. This diet is something that I'm going to be, it's a template for how I'm going to eat forever. But within that template, there's periodization with the food. Whereas, okay, I can only be on a diet or in a deficit for a little while because my body's going to get tired. And then I'm going to have to reverse out and eat at maintenance so that I can feel better, improve my metabolism, improve my hormonal health, build muscle, change my body. And then when I'm good and recovered, maybe if I have another goal, I can do a little deficit again. And I think that was the first introduction probably for you and I, where there's like, oh, there's a long-term strategy to this sort of way of eating that never ends.
100%. I think everything before, like you said, was finite. You know, it was like a start and stop date. But then what do you do? Like, okay, I did the hard 75 challenge and I learned a lot about myself, and just that I could, like, if there was an award for probably for yourself too, of like number of challenges completed, like I would have won. I loved those because it's like, oh, I can do this, you know. And then it's like, what happened to those, you know, some of the positive habits? It's like, well, it's done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done with the challenge. And there's never like that lifelong thing. And I think I didn't understand either, like, what do you do after a deficit? Or like, no, in any of the things that I tried, nobody ever really talked about maintenance or long term, or you get here and you need to increase calories and maintain and get your metabolism going. If you want to have muscle, you have to do this. Like, I honestly didn't really learn about that until the last few years.
Me too. And I'm a coach, you know, I've been a long time coach. I think, you know, it's sort of like when we get married, I mean, we do these vows, right? And the traditional vows is like till death do us part, right? We commit to being with this partner in sickness and health. But it's so funny about, like, most times when we're on a regular fad diet, we never think about our own long-term health, right? We're just like, oh no, we're just gonna be like testing the waters. We're like dating this diet, and then we're gonna do it for 12 weeks, and then the date ends, and then you're gonna look for another dieting partner, and then you do this little dance, and
it didn't work out.
So now let's see. Okay, So you, with your trainer for 2 years, how much weight did you lose with your trainer for 2 years during the
I think
doorway of keto?
yeah, approximately. So when I started, when I left, between like 30 to 35 pounds.
Amazing. Then you get into TWW. You start in September 22. And then
Yep.
what do you accomplish with your time in TWW?
So within TWW, I lost an additional 10 to 15 pounds, depending on, when I started. But then as I worked through, I got to be one cool thing besides just learning about macros, how to space those out, just different techniques as far as lifting, because when you have a trainer, it's kind of luxury. Like I wasn't loading the bar, I wasn't setting.
You
I was
have
like,
to
oh my
unload
God,
the
when I went back to the
plates.
gym, I'm like, what is my setting on this machine? I
Yes,
had
exactly.
no idea.
They take
But
your rest
luckily,
breaks.
yeah, luckily I had done it enough where I could feel like, okay, this is wrong. I wasn't just starting from scratch, but it was definitely a change and an additional workout, loading all the plates for like a hip thrust, or how it is.
I know.
So
Yes, I'm like the personal trainer assistant when you're unwrapping weight. You're like, you rest, you rest. I got it. I got it. Yes.
yeah, that's how it was for me too. I was like, I just, followed my trainer around and then they set everything up for me, which was so nice, but then I wasn't learning. So I think as far as a learning curve, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm learning all this stuff about macros, how to make things easier for myself in the sense of my food instead of cooking 1,200 that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then as far as lifting in general, a lot more form feedback, of all of the different things that I was getting, even from my in-person coach. Like maybe he was just correcting me as we went, but I remember videotaping myself and instantly realizing like this is not right. Like, and then not realizing too, like, okay, I thought I was, and then you watch, yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, what was I doing? So I feel like I got an independence as far as the gym because I had to figure this stuff out on my own. But luckily I wasn't so nervous because I had been going there already. And then the other thing was like, oh, all these little tweaks that I can continue to make and cues that I can, use to help things feel better and to lift more and more and more.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And it's like still to this day, I think that's the most enjoyable part about lifting is there are so many different things out there that you continue to work on and improve. It's not just like I got this, it's like over time it's, continuous learning. Same with macros. There's always so many things out there as far as meals. You learn your body of things your body likes or doesn't. And then it kind of goes through cycles of maybe things change over that time. So I don't know. I just feel like like whenever I do any of the personality tests, like learner always comes up as number one for me. So it was just so awesome to get all of this information about something that was of such interest to me. So I feel like first and foremost, that's what happened. And then I got to do a couple cool experiences. Like I went to a workshop that they hosted with Jen Thompson and Marissa. And that was just amazing to see, these women lifting insane amount of weight, or like meeting people in real life that you only ever thought you would see on Instagram. It's like so inspiring to see all of that. So that was another awesome experience I had with the Wonder Women. And then I was going to do a show, similar to your timeline last year. So I was midway through a prep. I think I made it to week 12 before it was determined, WBFF kind of changed and that it wasn't a show that I was going to do.
Nice. So then up until that part of TWW, from after losing, like you said, 30 or 35 pounds with your trainer, and then TWW entering a prep, how much weight was that lost with TWW entering that prep?
I think from start to finish of prep, I lost just over 10 pounds.
Nice. So almost like 45, 50 pounds total loss.
Yes. So
yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, it's nice to just, feel, I think before I felt, I think people talk about this, like out of control as far as my weight, like doing all the fad diets and maybe losing a little weight and then gaining more weight back and that sort of thing. And just not knowing how to get to a spot where I could maintain and not just be eating rice cakes or something like that, you know, a sustainable weight that you feel good at.
Yeah, I love that. That's a big part I kind of want to bring to everybody's attention too, that no matter what, if you're in a fat loss phase, the biggest struggle is going to be when you start to enter maintenance, and how to learn how to live your life mostly eating at maintenance, where your weight is sort of stable or going within a range. But the whole goal of you macroing, being mindful, and doing all the muscle things is so that you maintain your weight and you work on slowly building lean muscle over time. And so that's a big gray area. But I also want to point out how, like you said, right, you come from a 2-year background of having a trainer. It's a luxury. I'm a personal trainer. I do, and during COVID, I pivoted and went to online. And there was a lot of trainers who could not foresee the landscape of online training being a thing. They thought it couldn't be as effective. And what I told them is, it's almost, you have to be even more vigilant as a trainer when you're working with online clients, because you don't have the luxury of seeing them in person. So that is why we do things like, you submit videos to your coaches, you take videos of your exercises, you make sure that they're in good light, you make sure that they have your whole body in the videos, because it's imperative as your coach that we see how you move, right? Especially if something is not feeling right. And you have all these little nuances that you can definitely see and investigate during online training that can really help improve an athlete's movement patterns. So like you said, your biggest learning was actually online training with all the forum feedback. And again, sparking your interest to get even better in all these lifts. So much so that then you started to take advantage of the lifting workshops and so on and so forth that were put on by the TWW.
Right. And I think it's your responsibility, being coached as an athlete, to mention things to your coach. They are not mind readers. So if something isn't feeling right, or for me, I had a lot of like uncertainty, like, is this right? Asking the questions to your coach, making sure like if something feels awful, you don't just go forth and do it, you know, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And then you have to be open to feedback if you're not, you know, if that's gonna get you down and you know, but to me it was like, oh my gosh, you were right. I am you know, like my
Yeah.
foot is lifted when I'm doing this. Why am I doing that? You know, there's so many things that you do subconsciously that you're not sure. So
Oh
the
yeah.
videos, like you said, are key. And when you were saying that, I was remembering some of my first videos and laughing, because it's like I was definitely, you learn to become a videographer too, and I was definitely a novice at that. I have one of those gym buddies or whatever they call it, where it's like the magnet on the back. Those are very nice because there's so much metal in the gym. I think Cheryl Sparks, also from TWW, had mentioned that, and then it was like, sweet, I had that and never looked back. So definitely the good
Love
videos,
that.
and being like, I don't know. I think it's just a relationship of, you have to be honest with your coach and just say what the things are. They can't help you.
Yeah, like anything, right? If you're bullshitting, then you're gonna get bullshit results, because again, you're only, it's a two-way street, especially if you have a coach. It's open communication and honesty. And hey, as a coach, there's never any judgment. Never any judgment. The thing is, we want honest feedback and honest communication, because that's how best we can figure out a strategy for you, right? And you know, I hear some coaches that will say, oh, you know, why do I need a coach? I'm a coach myself. And no, like you, I love learning. What I do know is there's so much to learn that I don't know. And I like the idea of having somebody doing it better than me, taking a look at what I'm doing to help me become better. Because then if I'm better, I'm able to be a better, not only wife, sister, friend, partner, but a better trainer. I'm learning. We're always learning. So I love how you said like that. Like, you know, learn how to become a good video taker at the gym. You said gym buddies, magnet. I hear a lot of clients that love the magnet thing. I've had hardcore clients, long time, 10, 15-year clients are like, no way I'm videoing in the gym. Started online training with me, started to fall in love with the process, started videoing in the gym. It's like
nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody
I mean,
cares.
every once in a while you'll get like somebody who photo bombs you. I just had that happen this week, but nobody cares. Everyone, like the gym buddy too, like so many people were like, what is that? You know, asking. I'm like, ooh, I should
Yeah.
get a kickback. I've recommended that to several people, but Cheryl recommended it to me first. But yeah, it's like,
So
who cares?
nice.
You're just there trying to get better. That's all
Better.
that it is.
Everybody, yeah, everybody's just too self-absorbed into what they're own doing that, yeah, they could
Yeah.
care less. So again, as we kind of wrap up, what advice would you have? What would be the best piece of advice? I know there's going to be so much, but if we could nail it down, what would be the best piece of advice you would have for other women in your similar situation when you first started that's wanting to make this sort of similar change?
Yeah, I think it's really simple. It's just like, just get started, figure out like how you can. I think I knew, like, I forgot to mention, but when I started, you know, taking TWW and really going for it that summer, and I know my trainer was giving me, what did you call it, bro science or whatever with the
Yeah,
protein
bro.
shake. I had bought the TWW cookbook and macros mastery, and I was just trying to figure that out a little bit on my own and try to calculate my macros and what I thought they might be. For me, I also knew, like, as far as getting started, to get comfortable in the gym, I kind of did need to have like an in-person trainer at first. I didn't want to hurt myself, and I also didn't want to be like deer in the headlights. You know, when I was lifting, I wanted to feel comfortable. But and then I think it's just like we said, be coachable, be honest. You know, you're going to get the most out of it if you're honest with yourself and you're honest with your coach. You're paying somebody to help you, and they definitely want you, and they can only set you up for success if you're giving them, you know, the full picture. I think if you're, you know, hiding stuff or doing whatever, they probably know anyways. You know, it's going to show in your results, it's going to show in what's happening. So I don't know. A few people have even mentioned to me, like, wow, you share it all. And it's like, well, what I should, you know, it's like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't I? I'm not doing myself any service if I am not honest with what's happening. So I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. It was a lot of different things, but I don't know.
I love
Just
that.
start.
No, yeah, I think everybody's always looking for like the holy grail answer, clouds part and the angels come singing all the praises, and it's this magical thing. And it's not, gang. It's getting
No.
started.
Yeah.
And we have something called the amazing World Wide Web, where all of us coaches, all of us clients, athletes like Jenna, we put forth what we're doing, free information, free resources. There's things like you could buy the TWW cookbook that has how to figure out your own starting macros. There's a gazillion apps out there. The thing is, it's got to be you. You got to take the responsibility and you got to take action. So no matter if you spend hundreds of dollars on me a month by doing training, or $100 plus an hour in an in-person trainer, at the end of the day, it's you that has to show up, get there, start, and do the work.
Right.
And that is just it. That's how it is. That's plain and simple. And we share because it is really simple if you don't overcomplicate it and get out of your own way and just do a little thing, right? What is the little thing that you can do today that will help get you started? Whether it's as simple as drinking more water, going out for a 10-minute walk, researching the macro cookbook that we talked about today, getting a gym buddy on Amazon that you're going to take with you to go to the gym on tomorrow, Saturday, to do something you haven't done and videoing it, to look at yourself. I mean, it's so little, so don't make it out to be a big thing. So to wrap up, how are you now that you're with Team Dynasty? So we're a Team Dynasty training athlete.
Yes.
Jenna invited me to the team. I'm on pause right now as I get shoulder surgery, but I did my first prep with them. Love Stephanie and Carrie, the head founders and owners over there at Team Dynasty, who are accepting new clients as well, gang. They've just been a pleasure to work with for both of us.
Yeah.
Jenna is currently working on some big goals for this year with them. So how do you maintain your progress and stay so motivated? As a last wrap-up question for today.
I don't know. I just think once you start doing this, and like we said, just getting started, you just feel good. And all the little things, like, it's so funny what you were like excited about. Like, yes, I did a PR in this today, or yes, look at my macro plan. I didn't even, you know, try it like all planned out of exactly what I wanted to eat. And you're like excited about that. But I'm doing my first official build with them. And so I'm just working on getting stronger in the gym and, getting some more food in over time, which is awesome. And also learning, right? Like I got, a certain amount of learning from TWW, and now it's different coaches with different, ideas and perspectives. Not like fundamentally people are crazy different. It's just like you can always learn something new from everyone that you work with.
Always,
So I'm really
always.
enjoying that. And hopefully, a show is in my future, maybe at the end of this year or next spring. We're just going to see how it goes. And you know what? As excited as I am to do all of that, I want to make sure that it's the right time. My build is good. I'm ready. I'm prepped and all of that stuff. So I think it's setting your little goals along the way, but really, like everyone says, it's enjoying your process and the day to day. And then it's like, whatever's out there in the future is going to happen. But I really like all my training. I'm super excited this training block. I actually have 3 lower days, which are my favorite. So
Yeah,
I was like, yes. So that's the kind of thing that I like.
good job. I love that. Because again, it's really an evolution of mindset and realizing that, wow, when you first started, it was for like this to lose weight. And now it's
Yes.
been it's so much more. It's like appreciating the fact that, man, you're tasking your body with pushing and pulling heavy weight through space. And every week you're showing up and doing it. And every week you're getting stronger. And that's
Yes.
just a testament to that. If you enjoy the process, you keep working at it little by little, staying consistent, staying engaged, riding the highs and the lows, that you always improve. You always get progress in some shape
Yes.
or form.
100%.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
We can't wait. Jenna's headed to Croatia, so we're gonna hopefully catch up with her when she comes back to hear all about this amazing trip. And I think maybe we can talk about navigating extended travel out of the country.
Sure.
And how you're going to handle that like a boss, because again, like you said, you've been at this long enough to know, hey, it's not I'm going to blow it because I'm in Croatia. So screw macros, screw all this stuff. It's going to be like, no, how can I make it work for all the fun that I want to have? And that's 100%. What we love about this lifestyle, because it's doable.
Right. Exactly.
So there's no stress about it.
No. And I would just echo what you said earlier. It's like always here to help and reach out. And that's what's so fun about the online community. Yeah.
Yes,
there's so many people that you get to meet. And I mean, I'm lucky I met you and so many other
me too.
Women out there. Yeah. So it's like, if you have questions about anything, I mean, I think no one's going to have all the answers, but everyone that I've ever reached out to has always been helpful. Like I've always had a great experience.
Yep. So gang, ask away. Again, reach out to Jenna if you want more information about her experience. She's in Minnesota, especially if you live in the area. I'm in Hawaii. We again love to chat. We meet with all different types of gals sometimes for Zoom talks and meetups, and we just chat about all the things: mindset, muscles, and macros. All right. Have a good day. Thanks, Jenna.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, so let me stop recording.